All right, guys, I am back with a new sermon. I know it's been some weeks since you have seen me giving a message, but I am very fired up for this one. The name of this sermon is going to be called So Many Standards, So Little Understanding. This message is for someone or some people, and whoever this is for, you will come across it when it's time for you to come across it. So when I post this, maybe you'll see it right away. It might be some days from now, some weeks from now, a few months from now. I have no idea. But whoever needs this message, when the timing is right, you will see it. And I pray that you grab on to this very important message, because this sermon is going to help keep someone from making a very big egotistical mistake if they would just humble themselves and receive this message. So it's all about whether or not, when you realize it's for you, it's all about whether or not you want to chill out and get off the high horse and accept this word for what it is, or if you're going to ignore it and do something you really shouldn't do and make things even harder on yourself because you refused to listen. Now, if you're following along in scripture, I'm going to read to you real quick the places we're going to be at so you can go ahead and get your Bible ready. But once I give you these scriptures, before we dive into them, I'm going to go through this list that I made. I took the time to write it out because it's a lot, and I'm glad, because whoever this is for, what I read to you is going to make it perfectly clear that it's for you, if it's for you, so that there's no doubt in your mind that this message is for you. Okay, so it ain't going to be a vague message where you think, well, it might be for me, it might not. Oh, no. You're going to know if it's for you. You're going to know. So if you come to some conclusion that it's not for you when it really is, it's because you're playing dumb and you don't want to receive the message because you want to do what you want to do instead of taking heed to this warning I'm about to give you to not do something you're getting ready to do. Okay? So it's on you whether or not you take a hold of this, but you can't say you were not warned when what you're getting ready to do does not play out the way you thought it was going to. All right? So, the scriptures we're going to be looking at will be in Luke chapter 15, John chapter 8. That's where we're mostly going to be at. And we'll also touch on 1 John a little bit in chapter 1 there. So Luke, John, and a little bit of 1 John. All right. So you got, in the New Testament, you start out with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Right. So Luke and John. And then closer to the end of the Bible, you'll get closer to 1 John. So there's a John and a 1 John. So that's where we're going to be looking. So I'm going to break down. I'm just going to dive right into this list I got here. Because as I was studying and getting ready for this message, I didn't rush into recording it. I wanted to make sure I got all of what I needed for the person that this is for. So that way you know it's for you. Okay? So I want you to listen to this list. It's a 7-point list that's going to let you know this is for you. You ready? Here it is. Number 1, and this is the big one right here. Number 1, you are planning on publicly embarrassing someone. Whoever this is for, you are planning to publicly embarrass somebody. I don't know if you're just planning it in your heart, in your mind, if you sat down with somebody or some people and you planned it out with people, or you're just thinking about planning it out with people, or you're just thinking about how to do it by yourself. I don't know all that. But the main thing I know is you are planning on publicly and publicly being the key word, you are planning on publicly trying to embarrass and humiliate someone. Whoever this is for. That's number one. Number two, you are holding a grudge against this person because of either a past mistake that they made that has nothing to do with you, or because of something you actually did wrong, not them. So either you saw a mistake that they made in the past, and even though it's in the past, and even though they have owned up to it, and even though they have apologized if it was some mistake where they had to apologize, and even though they may have repented to God, and even though they've made life changes and they moved on and they're doing better now, and whatever it was that they did wrong has nothing to do with you if you're honest, but you're choosing to hold whatever they did wrong way back in 1856. You're choosing to have a grudge against them and hold it against them, even though it's the past, even though it don't matter to nobody no more, and even though it really has nothing to do with you. But really, it's just because you need something to hold against this person, and you can't really find anything justifiable, so you just nitpick and find something to hold against them, to act like they're this bad person that deserves to be embarrassed. So either you're holding something against them, a grudge against them about a past mistake that is in the past and that really has nothing to do with you, or it's because you're holding a grudge because of something you did. See, sometimes people will do you wrong, but they'll be mad at you. They'll do you wrong, but they'll be mad at you as if you're the one that did them wrong. In other words, it's projection. It's like they're projecting who they are onto you. So they're the ones that's in the wrong, whoever you are. You're the one that's really in the wrong, but you're acting like this person that you want to embarrass is the one that did you wrong, or is the one that did this bad thing that you actually did. You did it, and it was funny and cute at the time, but now you don't want to own up to it because owning up to it means dealing with the consequences and the repercussions of it, and you don't want to do it, so it's easier to be mad at them about something you did. And you're mad because you didn't get the reaction you wanted. So now you got to keep this narrative going about this person. So again, number one, you're planning on publicly embarrassing somebody. Number two, you are holding a grudge against this person because of either a past mistake that they made that has nothing to do with you, or because of something you actually did wrong, not them. Now here's number three. This is how you know it's for you. The underlying issue is your secret animosity towards God for blessing this person. See, the truth of the matter is, you, whether you want to openly admit it or not, you have beef with God. You're mad at God. You're mad at God because you know God is blessing this person. See, you want to see this person's downfall, but you've been quietly watching this person move forward in life. It could be simple things. Maybe they got a nice home. Maybe they got a nice car. Maybe it's just that they moved away. Maybe it's just that they have a better paying job. Maybe it's just that they are not on drugs anymore, or they're not in that abusive relationship anymore, or they did something that just caused their life to be better and better without you. And because things are getting better and continuing to get better, and you know that God is protecting them and blessing them, you have beef with God. So you're mad at the person, you got a grudge against the person, but the underlying issue is you're really mad at God. And so a big part of why you want to embarrass this person is it's your way of getting at God. You think that it's going to hurt God's feelings and offend God. You want to mess with God by messing with somebody you know God is helping and keeping and protecting and blessing. That's just how spiteful and full of bitterness you've gotten, whoever this is for. Number 4, your hostility towards God and your open denial of his existence is the cause of your prayers not being answered and your desires not being met. So, so you have this hostility and this beef with God, and even though you do know he exists, see, I'm not talking to somebody that's a non-believer. You believe, in fact, you don't just think God is real, you know it. You may have even had some type of encounter with him, some experience in or out of church. But whatever the case, you know he's real, but openly, you don't mind denying him. And you do it casually. And what I mean is, you're one of those people that depending on who you're around, you don't mind denying God because you go with the flow of the people you're around. You're easily influenced. See, you want to be an influencer and be seen as a leader, but the problem is you're too busy playing follow the leader. You just want to fit in with every group of people you come across because you want everybody to like you, and you're a people pleaser. So you come over here and you're with these people, and if they are people who are atheists, suddenly you don't believe in God, and you'll say, "Oh, I don't believe in him. He's not real. I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe in that." Blah 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 blah. Right? Then you go over here to people who I think it's agnostic might be the word where maybe they believe in God, but they're not really sure exactly what they believe in. You're like, oh yeah, well I don't really know either, right? And then you go over here to these people. And these people are like, well, we believe in a God, but we don't believe in the God of the Bible. Oh yeah, I don't believe in that Bible either. Then you go over here to these people. Come on. Come on. You go over here to these people. And they say, well, we believe in many gods. Oh, I'll just be worshiping this God, and I like this God. Now all of a sudden you got 50, 11 gods you like suddenly. Right? You just heard about them, but now you've been worshiping them since 1901, even though you just heard about them today. Right? So then you go over to these people over here. And you get over here. And they say, well, we're into witchcraft. We're Wiccans. We're this and that. Oh yeah, I'm a Wiccan too. I'm a pagan too. I'm a whole warlock, right? Whatever they say, that's what you say. And there's this old saying: you are the company you keep. And so, because you keep company with any and everybody, because you don't have boundaries, okay. Because of that, you're anybody with anybody. You can't stand firm on anything, and you don't have real loyalty to anyone or anything. It's just whatever. It just is whatever it is at the moment for you. So you're too wishy-washy and all over the place. And of course, we know the scripture lets us know that when you're a double-minded man, you're all over the place like the waves in the sea. And how can you expect God to bless you if you can't make up your mind? Right? So because you're so willing to openly, casually deny God's existence or put another so-called God in his place, you don't want to accept the reality that that's a big part of the reason why your prayers are not being answered and your needs and desires are not being met by God. See, on one hand, you got this beef with God. But on this other hand, you keep wanting him to bless you the way you see God blessing this person you want to embarrass, and you feel like he's playing favorites and the math ain't mathing, but really it's you being ridiculous. Because how can you want him to bless you, but at the same time you want to just deny him? And you want to play games with his name and his existence when it's convenient. But you should know that God comes first over any person. He's number one over any man. And when you keep picking people over him, it's a type of idolatry. But you want him to bless you. Well, why don't you ask these people that you put before God to bless you? Because you're making an idol out of them. Come on, come on. Uh-oh. See, now I'm getting into some stuff. See, we always want to impress certain people and keep up with the Joneses and put certain people over God. And then you wonder why you're not getting what you're asking from God of. Maybe it's because he's looking at you like, why don't you ask the ones who you've made a God in your life? You want them to be the gods in your life? Go ask them. So basically, you want to have your cake and eat it too, and poo poo poo. I'm just playing, but seriously though, you get what I'm saying. You got too much going on here. So watch this. Number 5. We're almost done. Number 5. You want a big negative reaction from this person and from God, but you're not going to get it. See, you want to embarrass them to try to get this big reaction out of them. You want them to yell and scream and cuss you out and tell them how you want them to tell you how they really feel and give you their 2 cents on it and all this and that. You want them to wild out. And you also want God. See, it's like you think, it's like you think if you make God mad or you deny him enough or you come up against people that he's trying to bless enough, it'll make him so mad that he'll just fall out of the sky and he'll stomp his feet and he'll yell and scream and cry and say, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to my son? Why are you doing this to my daughter? You really think that you're just this great spiritual mastermind manipulator, that you can just manipulate God and twist his arm, so to speak, to get your way. You're going to get this big reaction. And everybody's going to cry and scream and cuss and stomp and fall all out on the floor like a toddler that didn't get their candy. And it's going to make you look cool. Because you can control somebody and you can control God. That's not how this works. And it shows just how egotistical you are and how egotistical you've continued to become. You're way up on a high horse that you claim others are on. So you set a standard, or rather double standards against people, where if they make any mistake or any perceived mistake, all eyes have to be on this person and people have to hate them, but they're supposed to overlook all these flaws and mistakes and sins and setbacks that you have in your life. But you can't understand why you're not getting what you want from God. And you can't understand why you're not getting the results and reactions that you want. So you have so many standards, but so little understanding. Hence the name of the sermon. Number 6 and 7. Now let's look at this. This is where things get interesting. Number 6, you are a big gossiper who uses sex as a tool to manipulate people. So as I was getting ready for this sermon, because sometimes y'all know I'll be studying and taking my notes and getting things ready. And sometimes I'll talk about something that comes to my mind while I'm getting ready. Because sometimes I'll be thinking, well, Lord, what should I say? Like I get the gist of the sermon, but what should I use as an example to help people understand? And sometimes I don't even have to ask. Something will just come to me and I'll be like, man, I forgot about that. Or, man, I hadn't thought about that in a long time. That's so interesting. And then I'll think about it and I'll realize how what is coming to me ties into certain scriptures and things like that. So as I was getting ready for this message, and I kind of knew where God was leading me with the scriptures that I was looking into, some things came to me, and I'm going to share this with you that I thought was kind of funny. One of the things that came to me was a conversation that I had with somebody a few years back. You know how sometimes you might meet somebody at a place. It could be a town or a school or on the job or just at some event, right? You meet somebody and you seem to have stuff in common and y'all click, but then maybe years go by and y'all kind of like, kind of go y'all separate ways. Y'all might not hear from each other. And then one day somehow y'all connect, like maybe y'all meet up at the same place at the same time, or y'all connect on social media, y'all have friends in common, or just whatever. Y'all reconnect after so long. And a lot of times when that happens, what happens is y'all might have this long conversation where y'all pick up where y'all last left off and you update each other on things that have been going on just for the heck of it, just to have conversation. And so there was a guy that I met years ago, real cool dude. We seemed to have quite a bit in common. And years went by, we just hadn't really chatted. And one day we kind of connected again. And we were having this conversation. We were catching up. And I think I had asked him about somebody that he used to date way back when. And I was like, whatever happened with y'all? Like it seemed like y'all were good for the longest. We were talking about that and while they had broke up and all this and that. And from there, we started talking about other past relationships and people we used to have a crush on and, people we used to try to date and just stuff like that, right? So he told me this. This guy that I'm talking to y'all about, I'm going to just call him, I'll just call him Michael. That's not his name, but that's what I'm going to call him for this sermon. So I was talking to Michael and we were talking about all this stuff, and he was talking to me. He started talking to me about somebody that he was interested in several years ago. Back when he was, I think back when he was still in school. But he was talking about this girl that he was really interested in. He thought that she was real cute. So he was wanting to try to like holler at her, right? But he was having a hard time figuring out the right way to like approach her or to have that access with her to really spark up that conversation because he wanted to do it a certain kind of way, right? He didn't want to do it just any kind of way. So he was telling me that he noticed that somebody he knew, somebody he was kind of cool with, was friends with this girl. So he said he had talked to the guy. We'll just call him Charlie. I'm going to just call him Charlie. So Michael said he had talked to Charlie and was like, hey, listen, this friend of yours, I think she's cute. I want to holler at her, hook us up. And he said, Charlie told him, all right, I'll do it, but only if you go down on me. So he tells the dude, I'll hook you up with this girl if you give me oral sex, basically. And Michael said that at first he was like, all right, I'll do it, right? So they had set up a day and time for all this to play out. And he said that over time he thought about it, and the more he thought about it, he couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to do it. And he didn't say it. He didn't say it, but I could tell by like the tone of his voice and how he was talking, I could tell that it was like, he didn't want to do it, not because he just felt so wrong. He didn't want to do it because he wasn't attracted to the guy, which he's attracted to men and women, but he just wasn't attracted to this guy. So he was just like, man, the more I thought about it, I was just like, ugh, I just can't do it. And it was the way he kept saying, ugh. It was like I knew he was saying like, I'm not into this dude. I ain't attracted to him at all. Like I knew that's what he was really getting at. Like the idea was kind of grossing him out. So he was saying that he said that finally, after thinking about it for so long, he decided to just contact Charlie and tell him, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like I can't do it. I can't give you what you want. So so the deal was off after that, and that was just really on my mind getting ready for this sermon. Like it wouldn't leave me alone. Him telling me that about Charlie, and then the other thing that came to my mind about this Charlie guy was just my recollection, because I didn't really know a whole lot about him, but from one of the big things that I did remember about this Charlie person that he was friends with was that he was a big gossiper. He was a very social butterfly, and one of the ways that he got in well with so many different people was just the fact that he knew so much about people, and he was always like kind of going to and fro, telling everything about everybody. It's kind of one of those things, and that just came to my mind. And so the whole the gossiper theme that he had attached to him, as well as this thing that I had learned about him, like kind of trying to use sex as a way to okay, if you do this act on me, this sexual act on me, I'll help you. Like, you do this favor, I'll do this. You do this, I'll do that, kind of thing. And so that kind of tied into what I knew I needed to bring up in this sermon. So whoever this message is for, whoever you are, one of your traits that will help know that this is for you is you know it. This ain't just me just saying something. Like, you know this about yourself. Whoever you are, you are a big time gossiper, and you are the type of person who, in one way or another, you use sex as a tool to manipulate and control and to get your way. It could be different things. It could be, maybe you just like messing around with people to get in good with people. Maybe you're somebody who, you might blackmail somebody and say, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to tell everybody that, you had sex with me, or I'm going to tell people you had sex with that person. Or you might be the type of person who, one of the things that came to my mind was sex tapes. Like how, years back, the big thing in the world of media was celebrity sex tapes, where a famous person would record themselves having sex with somebody else, and then somehow that video ended up on the internet, and sometimes it was an accident, and sometimes it was put out there on purpose, but they acted like it was an accident because it was a publicity stunt to draw attention to them, to draw attention to their new album getting ready to come out, or their new show coming out, or maybe they just been irrelevant for so long they just want to be in the spotlight again. Like, it could have been something like that, right? So it could have been that, or it could have been like what people call now revenge porn, where they secretly record themselves having sex with you, and then they put it out there to embarrass you, or whatever. It could be, hopefully it's not like a trafficking thing. Maybe you're somebody who you're tied into the whole human trafficking thing, or people and you work with people who traffic people for sex and stuff like that. I don't know the specifics on it for you, but I know that in one way or another, you are known for being that kind of person. You're big on the gossip, and you're big on using sex to manipulate and to get your way in some way or another. And finally, on the list, number 7, your outlook on love is simply status. One of the things that came to my mind was getting ready for this sermon was an ex of mine who I remember I took them when we were still together. I took them to meet some of my family, and afterwards I was telling him about how much my family really liked him, and just saying, I can tell my family really likes you. And his response was, I didn't do anything. And I say that because one of the things that I kind of realized about him was he kind of had the mindset, because of things that he had been through growing up and in relationships and in family life and things of that nature. He was one who he kind of had the mindset of, if someone shows you love, it's because of something big you've done. Maybe you accomplished something great, or you got that big promotion on the job, or you've become a popular person, or what I mean. In other words, you have to do something or have some type of status or something to really have people like you or love you or think something of you. So when I said to him, I could tell they really like you, he's trying to figure out, or he was trying to figure out, what special thing he did to make people like him. And I was trying to help him understand, you don't necessarily have to do something big or great or special for people to like you. If they really like you or really love you, it's because they like you for you. They love you for you. And so for the rest of our relationship, when we were together, a big thing for me was to do things and say things to show him that I was with him because I loved him, and I really loved him for him. I didn't love him for this, that, or the other, because, he might have had this or might have had that, or he did this or he did that. No, I'm with you because I really love you for you. And so that was a big thing for me to do in our relationship. But that just really, and it was something that at the time it really kind of hurt my heart that I had to help him see that. But anyway, but that came to my mind getting ready for this message, and so I say that to say whoever this is for, that's kind of the outlook in a way that you have. It's like you have the outlook of, if you get with somebody, true love isn't really what it should be based on. It should be based on if it brings you attention, if it brings you popularity, if it brings you status. If you're going to get with somebody, you should get with them because they have a lot of money, or because they're very popular, or because they have a nice house or a nice car and they can do these things for you and buy all these things for you. And it doesn't really matter how good they treat you or not. It doesn't really matter how much time they spend with you or not. It doesn't matter about all these silly little things that people call love. It's about the status quo. And so whoever this is for, this is your outlook. And so for you, that's what a lot of this is really tying down to, or coming down to. You're doing these things and you want all this status and you want all this attention and you want all this praise. You can't really enjoy real true love because you embrace the fake love and the fake friends and all this fakeness. It's just about the status quo. And you have a mindset that if you can tear somebody down, if you can embarrass or humiliate somebody and lower their status, maybe it can bring your status up higher. And you need a deep understanding of the reality that that's not really how this goes. It's not how it should go. And so, all that being said, let's get into this. I know this natural sunlight that's going on right now is probably kind of throwing some of y'all off, but just try to ignore it. Just listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what matters. So let's hop right on into this, starting at Luke chapter 15, starting at verse 11. It says this: "And he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living." Now we know this story. We know it's the story of the prodigal son, the story where the man has these 2 sons, and one of his sons says, hey, give me what is entitled to me. Give me my money. Give me my fortune or my inheritance so that I can leave and go do my own thing. Now, notice he didn't say, give me what's due to you. Give me what's due to my brother. Come on, give me what's due to my mother. He didn't say, he said, give me whatever it is that I am entitled to inherit one day. Just go ahead and give it to me now. Keep that in mind. Verse 13, "And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living." So he takes his inheritance, he leaves, he goes to some other country, he lives riotously, he lives wildly, he's out there blowing his money, blowing his inheritance. Verse 14, "And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want." So after he blows everything, there's a famine in the land. There's a lot of dryness going on, a lot of resources not there anymore, and he's in a situation now where he's struggling. 15, "And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. So what's happened here is he's tied himself to somebody that lives in the land, and the guy says, listen, go and feed the pigs. And next thing you know, this guy is eating with the pigs. He's living filthily. He's as low as he can go in life. And I love how it puts it. I love how it says, and when he came to himself, in other words, he had that light bulb go off in his head. I always think about that episode of SpongeBob where he went inside of his own head, and there's like a bunch of different file cabinets that he has to go through to find something, and he finds it. That's what happened. He had that moment where he had to go in his head and dig through some file cabinets, right? But he had that moment where he had that wake-up call where he's like, all right, you know what? I've gotten as low as I can go in life. I made a mess of things. I finally get it now. I finally have accepted the fact that I made a mistake. I messed up. I'm going to go home and apologize to my father for blowing all this money. And I'm just going to just own up to the mistake that I made. And so we see genuine sorrow. So he's finally come to his senses. And it says this. And when he came to himself, he said, verse 19, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy servants that you've hired. So he's already got it planned out in his head that he'll say, Dad, I'm no better than one of your servants. I could serve you. If you won't even view me or take me back as a son, take me back as a servant. I'll work for you. I'll pay off what I took, right, for my adventure. So he's willing to be humble about the mistake that he made. So he's come to his senses. He's owning up to it. He's willing to be humble about it, the whole 9 yards. Verse 20, and he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. And this almost sounds like someone apologizing and repenting to the Father God, not necessarily an earthly father, but to God himself. And so this story is used a lot to show the love of the Father in heaven, right? About how he's so willing to forgive and to accept you back into the fold. Let's look at this, verse 22. But the father said to his servant, bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be merry. So the father is so happy to see his son. He immediately forgives him. He's like, listen, let's have a celebration. Put this robe on. Put this ring on. Put these nice shoes on. Y'all go get the food ready. Let's have a celebration. My son is back. He was lost, but now he's found. So they're ready to party. But look at this. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard the music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry and would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandment. And yet thou never gavest me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. So the younger brother was the one that ran off, and he comes back, and the older brother, he sees everybody celebrating, and he's wanting to know what's going on. What is the celebration about? And someone tells him, hey, your brother has returned. Come on, let's celebrate. Let's have fun. He's alive. He's here. He's well. And the older brother is mad. He doesn't want to go celebrate. And so when the father comes out to him, he tells his father, he just lets it all hang out. He says, listen, he says, I've been here this whole time. I have never done anything wrong. I have never sinned against you. I've done everything right. I have not made any mistakes or any failures. Now, already we see a problem, right? Because let me pause and say this. Whoever this message is for, this is your attitude. You have this attitude of, it's like you act like you don't do anything wrong. You never mess up. You never make a mistake. And so just like this older brother who has this problem, who has this outlook of, well, I never did anything wrong, so why should we celebrate his return after he went and made a mess of things and spent his money on harlots? And of course, harlots would be, prostitutes, women that are prostitutes. So he's already assumed that the money that he had, he spent on basically messing around with women. So he's calling his brother a sinner, basically, and saying, well, I never left and I stayed here and I never did anything wrong. So why are you celebrating him? You didn't do this for me. And so you have this mindset of, you are good. You're not doing anything wrong. No one should look at you and your sins that you act like aren't there. But you want everybody to look at this person and something that they did in the past that they have apologized or repented for. They've gotten their life together. They're trying to move forward, but you want to hold something against him that has nothing to do with you. Now you see why I pointed out what I pointed out at the start of this story, where I said, as you can see, this one son is saying, give me what's mine, what's due to me, not what's due to his brothers. So it's not like the younger brother took what belonged to the older brother. So it's not his business. It's something that's between the young son and the father. So if anybody should have a problem, it should be the father, but the father is forgiving. So why is it that the older brother who had nothing taken from him, and see, that's the problem. He's acting like something is being taken from him. Oh, you did this for him, but you ain't ever did it for me. And the father has to explain to him, listen, all of mine is what's yours anyway. That's just it. Since you never left, all of what is yours, and all of what is mine also has continued to be yours. In other words, you're missing the point. You're so busy holding a grudge against the younger brother that you can't see the forest for the trees. You're acting like I'm doing something special for him and giving him something special when what I'm doing is something you could have had this whole time, because what's yours is yours and what's mine has been yours. It's just that he had what was his and left with it, but he was without me in what is mine. So what was mine was no longer his no more. He just had what was his. So you're overlooking the bigger picture, is what the father had to go on and try to explain to him. And so I'm explaining to you, whoever this is for, you've got to look at the bigger picture. You can't keep holding this past, this mistake that this person made that has nothing to do with you, against them, and having beef with God the Father, like how this man had issues with his earthly father about blessing the younger son. So listen, whoever this is for, I'm not saying that it has to do with a sibling. I'm just saying that it has something to do. Whoever you're mad at somebody who you have some type of familiar ties to. It could be a relative, it could be an ex-friend, it could be an ex, like an ex-ex, like an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, or ex-spouse, or whatever. But there's someone from the past who you are, or you at least used to be familiar with, and you're holding on to this grudge that happened way back then, way back when, and it has nothing to do with you, and you need to let it go. Because what it is you see that things are going well for them, and you feel some kind of way because you want things to go a certain way for you, but instead of just seeking God and focusing on yourself, you want to say to God, well, you shouldn't be blessing this person, not realizing that being such a hater is holding up your own blessings, things that could already be yours. But you can't see the forest for the trees because you're worried about things that have nothing to do with you. Let's keep going. John chapter 8. I love this story right here. John chapter 8, starting at the beginning, it says, Jesus went unto the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. So Jesus is not by himself, he's around a lot of people. Keep this in mind. He's teaching. Verse 3, and the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou? This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down with his finger and wrote on the ground as though he heard them not. Let's pause there. So they bring these men, the scribes and Pharisees, they decide to bring a woman to Jesus and set her down and say, we found this woman caught in adultery, in the very act, right in the middle of it. And of course, adultery is when you are married, but you're messing around with somebody you're not married to, or you're messing around with someone else who is married, or maybe you and the person you're messing around with, maybe y'all are both married, but to completely different people than who y'all are messing with, right? So adultery. So of course it takes more than one person to commit adultery. So the question that you should ask is, where is the other person? Where is the person she's committing adultery with? Because if it's such a problem, both people should be brought to Jesus. And so we see hypocrisy here. And a lot of people, well, some people that notice this and look into this, and I agree, and I've said this for years, a lot of people will say, okay, it's clear that whoever this person is that she was committing adultery with is either one of the scribes and Pharisees that brought her in, or all of them, or at least some other dude that they know. But they didn't want to bring the dude or step up and say, hey, it's me, or hey, it's us that was doing it with her. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to bring forth the guy, just the woman. Come on. Setting a double standard. But they got to question Jesus about how it should be handled. So they have these standards. They have so many standards, but so little understanding. Here we are again with the name of the sermon. So they question Jesus, and they got to figure out his explanation, and they're hoping that he can say something that they can nitpick to try to trip him up and act like he's saying or teaching something wrong. But how foul is it that they not only bring this woman and not say the person or bring the person that she's been messing around with, but they brought her to Jesus in front of all these people that he's teaching. They didn't even bring her when he's alone. They are trying to not only make a point and try to trip up Jesus, but they're trying to humiliate and publicly embarrass this woman. And whoever this is for, this is something you're trying to do. You're trying to set somebody up to publicly embarrass them in front of a lot of people, and it's not going to go the way you think. So that's why this message is to warn you not to do it, even though I have a feeling that somebody's going to end up doing it anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I just got to do my part and give the word. Whether or not you listen is on you, but I'm going to do my part. Right. So that's the issue. They got hidden agendas. And you do too, whoever this is for. They got hidden agendas. They want to try to see what Jesus says to trip them up, to try to get them to say something off against the laws that they know and have been taught. And they want to embarrass this woman, but they don't want to put themselves out there for the sins they've committed or the sins their friends have committed. And that's what you're doing. You want the spotlight to be on somebody in a negative way, to get a negative reaction, but it's really something that you're doing. And this takes me back to what I said in point number 6 about using sex as a tool to manipulate. That's what they're doing here. Oh, we caught her in adultery, but they're not talking about, come on, they're not pointing out who it is she was messing around with, because it was probably one of them or all of them or somebody they're cool with. Setting a double standard, being a hypocrite, being foul, playing foul. Come on, stirring up trouble. So it says that Jesus stooped down and started writing on the ground with his finger. Some people debate what that was about. Some people have a theory that what he was actually doing was, instead of calling out their sins the way they tried calling her out, he was writing theirs. He was writing what they were, he's quietly just writing. And it would make sense because of what he ends up saying next. Verse 7, it says, so when they continued asking him, he lifted himself up and said, he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. So it makes sense that what he might have been doing was writing what they've been doing and saying, okay, see all this? See all these sins that y'all have been participating in that y'all don't want to talk about? All right, I won't talk about it either. I'll just write it. And now that I've wrote it and pointed it out, now I'm going to say, if you are without sin, you can go ahead and cast the first stone at her. I won't stone her. I'll let you do it if you can justifiably do so by being able to truthfully claim that you are without sin. And they couldn't justify it because their sins have been put on display in writing. Oh, come on. So Jesus was being slick with this one. You want to have her stoned? You can if you're without these same sins that you claim she's been doing. And they couldn't do it. They knew they were guilty when they brought that woman in there, but they just wanted to embarrass her. Come on. But they don't want to acknowledge their own issues and faults. They don't want to do that. And again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. So he had a lot more to say, but he just wrote it because they didn't want to say what they were doing. So he's like, I ain't going to say it either. I'm just going to keep writing. I'll just keep writing what you've been doing. Verse 9. And they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even unto the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. Now, let me point this out because I love this. I love how it goes out of the way to say not just that they left one by one, but that they left one by one, beginning with the eldest. The older left first and then the younger. Let me point out something. A lot of times people can't think. They can't use their mind. They gotta wait and see what the people that they look up to think and say first. They gotta wait to see what the people that have influence over them do and say first before they can act or react to a situation. So the younger are just waiting and looking and seeing what the older people are doing. And so now as the elders leave, now they just start going out one by one from oldest to youngest. Just playing follow the leader. Because again, whoever this is for, that's you. You just see, you want to be a hot shot. You want to have status and a title and something that shows you're a leader, or as some would say, the pillar of your community. But you're too busy playing follow the leader and playing childish games. But the Apostle Paul said it perfect when he said, when I was a child, I thought like a child and I spoke like a child. I acted like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And you don't want to put away childish things, and that's your problem. You are your own worst enemy, but you want to make somebody else feel bad and be embarrassed about something you did or you are doing, something you're guilty of, but you can't stand to bear the guilt, so now somebody else has to be the bad guy and the scapegoat in your story. And you're mad because it's not working out the way you wanted it to, and it's not going to work out the way you wanted it to, or the way you wanted to, if you try to embarrass this person, whoever it is. Verse 10, when Jesus had lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where are those thine that accuse thee? Hath no man condemned thee? She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. So he told her not to sin anymore, but he didn't sit there and try to bash her and humiliate her, because he knows that those dudes had already done it. He wasn't going to add fuel to the fire. He knew that that's what part of their agenda was to embarrass her. So instead, he just had mercy and grace and made it easy on her. He was just like, okay, hey, they didn't accuse you. I'm not going to do it either. Just don't sin anymore. Just go on about your business. 1 John chapter 8. 1 John chapter 1, starting at verse 8, it says, If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. That's your problem. You are deceiving yourself because you want to act like you are not doing anything wrong and you have not done anything wrong. You want it to be about somebody else, but you're deceiving yourself. Again, you're your own worst enemy. And finally, going back to John chapter 8, looking at verse 44, Jesus says, Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So he's saying, well, first we read where if you don't believe on the Father, and you want to say that sin is not in you, you never sin, you're deceiving yourself, you're a liar. And now we see here that if you want to be this type of liar, you are of your father the devil, who is the father of lies, and the truth is not in you. So you want to bring a false truth forward about somebody to embarrass them, but the truth is not in you. You are being of your father the devil. And if you're going to be of your father the devil, how can you expect God the Father of heaven, to bless you? The only way is to make him your father again and not the devil. But how can you do that if you continue to deny him before man? Whoever this is for, I'm giving you something to think about. Heavenly Father, I thank you for another time to minister another word. Lord, I pray that whoever needs this message, that they hear it, and I'm praying wholeheartedly that they actually receive it. They don't get offended. They don't let the spirit of offense come in and decide to turn off the message and not listen to all of it, or they just decide to not obey it. Lord, I pray that they take heed and that they avoid doing what it is that they're thinking about doing, Lord. Lord, I pray for grace and mercy in this situation. Handle it only the way you know how, Lord. Lord, I give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.